Umaro Mokhtar Sissoco Embaló is a Bissau-Guinean politician and former military officer who served as the sixth president of Guinea-Bissau from 2020 until he was deposed in a coup d'état in 2025. A member of the Madem G15 party, Embaló served as the 18th Prime Minister under President José Mário Vaz from 2016 to 2018. Born to a Muslim Fulani family in Bissau, Embaló was educated at the Technical University of Lisbon in Portugal and the Complutense University of Madrid in Spain, graduating from both universities with a bachelor's degree in political science and a doctorate in international relations from the Complutense University. Embaló then joined the Bissau-Guinean Army and underwent training in Belgium, Israel, South Africa, Japan, and France. Before his political career, Embaló taught in African and Middle Eastern affairs and in matters of defense, international cooperation, and development. In 2016, Embaló entered politics and joined the African Party for the Independence of Guinea and Cape Verde, PAIGC, the then ruling party. Later in that year he was appointed Prime Minister by President Vaz. During this time, a dispute between Embaló and the PAIGC grew to the point that 2 years later in 2018, he left the party and formed the Madem G15 party and also resigned as Prime Minister. In the November 2019 presidential election, Embaló ran for president and won the election. He was sworn in as president in February of the following year. During his presidency, Guinea-Bissau saw the retreat of Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, troops stationed in the country after the 2012 coup and attempted to arrange official visits from foreign heads of government, including the first visit from the Portuguese government in 3 decades, and international organizations such as the International Monetary Fund. In 2022, Embaló survived an coup attempt and has critics the coup as a threat to democracy. Despite this, however, opposition figures has criticized Embaló's rule as increasingly authoritarian as Embaló has dissolved parliaments which were dominated by the opposition twice during his presidency, one in 2022, and another in 2023 following another coup attempt in which the opposition criticized Embaló for attempting to carry a constitutional coup and consolidate power. In September 2024, Embaló has said that he will not run for re-election. However, 2 months later in November, Embaló has said that he would remain president beyond 2030 after calls from supporters to remain in office. In March 2025, Embaló has stated that he will run for re-election. However, the opposition has criticized the expiration of his term as it was originally set to end on February 27, 2025, however the Constitutional Court has set it to September 4, in which Embaló has remained in office way beyond that date. The elections were held in November 2025, around 1 year after the original date, and both Embaló and the opposition independent candidate Fernando Dias da Costa declaring victory. On November 26, 2025, hours before the official results of the general election came, a coup occurred with officers from the Revolutionary Armed Forces of the People seizing power and subsequently detaining Embaló. He thus became the 4th president to be deposed in a coup, after Luis Cabral, João Bernardo Vieira, and Kumba Yala, and was also the 2nd president to not come from the PAIGC party, after Kumba Yala. Throughout his presidency, Embaló has stated that his governing style is that of Embalóism, which he defines as order, discipline, and development, asserting that there is neither small state nor small president, and has compared himself to leaders like Lee Kuan Yew and Rodrigo Duterte. Life. Born in Bissau to a Muslim Fulani family, Embaló holds a degree in international relations from the Higher Institute of Social and Political Sciences at the Technical University of Lisbon, as well as both a master's degree in political science and a doctorate in international relations from the Complutense University of Madrid. He is fluent in Portuguese and Spanish, and competent in English, French, Arabic and Swahili. Embaló served in the army, undertaking national defense studies at the National Defense Center of Spain, and underwent further studies on national security in Belgium, Israel, South Africa, Japan, and France. He rose to the rank of brigadier general. Before his political career, Embaló academically specialized in African and Middle Eastern affairs and in matters of defense, international cooperation, and development. He is a former Minister of African Affairs. Premiership, 2016 to 2018. Embaló formed his cabinet on December 13, 2016 after having been appointed Prime Minister by President José Mário Vaz on November 18, 2016. However, Embaló took the post while under the censure of his own party, the African Party for the Independence of Guinea and Cape Verde, PAIGC, which through its Central Committee gave him a vote of distrust of 112 votes in favor and 11 against on November 26, 2016. As head of government, he could only count on the support of the Social Renovation Party, which had the second largest number of seats in the National People's Congress of Guinea-Bissau. On January 13, 2018, after disagreements with President José Mário Vaz, he was replaced according to the demands of João Fadia, Minister of Finance, and Bach Kanda, Minister of the Interior. Embaló offered his resignation from the position, effective on January 16, 2018. 2019 presidential election. Embaló ran for president in 2019, running as the candidate of Madem G15. He finished in second place, with 27% of the vote, in the first round of voting. According to the preliminary and final results published by the National Commission of Elections, he won the runoff vote against another former Prime Minister, Domingos Simões Pereira, 54% to 46%. However, the final results continue to be disputed by his opponent Domingos Simões Pereira. Although neither the Supreme Court of Guinea-Bissau nor the Parliament had given its approval for the official swearing-in ceremony, Sissoco Embaló had organized an alternative swearing-in ceremony in a hotel in Bissau to announce himself as legal president of Guinea-Bissau. Several politicians in Guinea-Bissau, including Prime Minister Aristides Gomes, accused Sissoco Embaló of arranging a coup d'état, although outgoing President Mário Vaz stepped down to allow Embaló to assume power. Presidency, 2020 to 2025. Sissoco Embaló has stated that his governing style is that of Embalóism, which he defines as order, discipline, and development, asserting that there is neither small state nor small president and comparing himself to Lee Kuan Yew and Rodrigo Duterte. As part of an anti-corruption drive, he ordered the installation of CCTV surveillance cameras across the country and the arrest of Minister of Public Health Antonio de Una on embezzlement charges in 2021. In 2020, his presidency saw the retreat of Economic Community of West African States troops stationed in the country after the 2012 coup and attempts to arrange official visits from foreign heads of government, including the first visit from the Portuguese government in 3 decades, and international organizations such as the International Monetary Fund. His first official visit as head of state was a multi-country tour of Senegal, Niger, and Nigeria in March 2020. A coup d'état to oust Embaló was attempted on February 1, 2022. He said that many members of the security forces had been killed in a failed attack against democracy. In May 2022, Embaló dissolved Guinea-Bissau's parliament, citing persistent and unresolvable differences with Parliament. In July 2023, he attended the 2023 Russia-Africa Summit in St. Petersburg and met with Russian President Vladimir Putin. On December 4, 2023, Embaló dissolved Parliament, citing allegations of an attempted coup d'état. Speaker Domingos Simões Pereira accused Embaló of carrying out a constitutional coup. On March 3, 2024, Embaló visited Jerusalem and expressed support for Israel in the Gaza war. He told Israeli President Isaac Herzog that Guinea-Bissau and its people are at your side and ready to help you in any way possible. On September 11, 2024, Embaló announced that he would not seek a second term in the upcoming presidential elections scheduled for November 2025. At the same time, disputes arose over when his term as president would end, as opposition groups said his term expires on February 27, 2025, while the Supreme Court ruled that it expires on September 4, 2025. On March 3, Embaló announced that he would run again for president in the November election. He has since continued to hold the presidency following the legal expiry of his term on September 4. Under Embaló's presidency, Guinea-Bissau hosted and mediated negotiations between the Senegalese government and the Movement of Democratic Forces of Casamance, MFDC, that led to the announcement of a new peace agreement in Bissau on February 25, 2025 to end the Casamance conflict. 2025 presidential election and coup d'état. Embaló ran again for a second presidential term in the 2025 Guinea-Bissau general election on November 23. Both he and Fernando Dias da Costa claimed victory the next day while official results were yet to be released. On November 26, Embaló was arrested in a coup d'état carried out by head of the military office of the presidency Brigadier General Dinis Incanha and was detained at the headquarters of the Armed Forces General Staff. The next day, he was released following negotiations with the Senegalese government and went into exile in Senegal. Thank you for watching this video.